I know how it feels. Because I was exactly that woman, full of plans, full of vision, full of amazing ideas, and zero energy to actually put them into action. I was the one making goal lists that sounded exciting in my head, and just gathered dust in my notebook. I wanted big results but didn't want to start small. Wanted freedom, but not discipline. Wanted to be admired, but couldn't stick to even half an hour of real execution. And here's the hardest part. I knew I was capable, and still I wasn't doing anything. If that sounds like you, this video isn't a judgment. It's a conversation you might have never had with anyone, and it might just change the way you operate from today on. Like the video now, subscribe to the channel, and listen till the end. Because what you call laziness might just be a stuck mental system that needs reprogramming. 1. I realized my laziness was actually confusion in disguise. The first thing I had to acknowledge was that I wasn't lazy. I was lost. I was confusing lack of clarity with lack of strength. And of course, I judged myself, blamed myself, compared myself. But the truth was, my mind was full of ideas, with no filter. I wanted to start everything at once, and ended up starting nothing. The breakthrough came when I did something simple. I listed all the goals that were overwhelming me. I picked a single priority. I wrote down 3 micro actions to take today, not tomorrow. That simplicity lifted a weight off my shoulders and gave me traction. Because what looked like laziness was just an overloaded system with no focus. Now, every time I feel stuck, I ask myself, am I being lazy or just lost direction? Are you judging yourself for not taking action? Or do you just need to simplify to get started? Comment, I simplify to break the freeze if this part gave you a breath and a plan. 2. I stopped waiting for motivation and started building momentum. For a long time, I kept waiting for the right moment, that wave of excitement, that quieter day, that inspiring video. And sometimes it came, but it never lasted, and the routine would come back, along with the guilt cycle. Until one day it clicked. Motivation is born from action, not the other way around. I was waiting for fuel to start, when starting is what actually lights the engine. So I decided to create a new pattern. I built simple rituals. Wake up and act before overthinking. I cut my decision time down to 5 minutes. I learned to move even without feeling like it, with micro actions that broke the inertia. Starting became my rule, even if small, even if clumsy, and to my surprise, that created momentum. One posted piece of content sparked a new idea. A conversation turned into an opportunity. Sorting my inbox made me want to write again. Now I know. Ambition only becomes reality when you learn to move without waiting to feel inspired. Are you waiting for the mood to hit? Or have you realized all you need is to just start? Comment here. I act before waiting for energy, if this point shattered your myth of perfect motivation. 3. I found out I was self-sabotaging because I was afraid of succeeding. This was one of the most uncomfortable realizations of my journey. Because I said I wanted to grow, to make money, to have freedom. But in reality, I was stuck. Not because I didn't know how, but because deep down, I was scared it might actually work. Afraid I wouldn't be able to handle it. Afraid of standing out. Afraid of outgrowing my circle. Afraid of having to maintain the new version of me I claimed to want. It was hard to admit, but it was freeing. When I recognized that my laziness was often just fear in disguise, I could treat the root cause, not just the symptoms. I started asking myself, what am I afraid of losing if this actually works? What will I have to face if I really level up? Am I ready to be different from the people around me? These questions helped me cut the self-sabotage. And the more aware I became of what was behind my stagnation, the easier it was to move forward. Today, I no longer run from the responsibility of working. I embrace it. I lead. I move. Are you afraid of failure? Or of what happens if you finally succeed? Comment, I stopped sabotaging myself out of fear of success if that one hit deep. 4. I swapped waiting for energy with building structure. I used to plan my week in my head. I'd say I was going to do it. I was going to start. I'd squeeze it into a free moment. But without realizing it, I was setting myself up, relying on emotional energy to get things done. And that's a recipe for failure. Because energy fluctuates. There are tired days, hormonal cycles, unexpected disruptions, nothing's flowing today kind of moments. The shift came when I realized that builders don't rely on energy, they rely on structure. Here's what I did. Set fixed execution blocks with alarms and commitment. Assign specific days for specific tasks. Minimize daily decisions to avoid wasting energy. At first it felt weird, but soon my productivity increased, even on bad days. Because the structure carried me when willpower didn't show up. Today, My routine protects me from myself. Are you waiting to feel energized to begin? Or have you already built a routine that pushes you even on tough days? Comment. My structure sustains my progress. If this habit might change how you plan things. 5. I stopped romanticizing perfectionism and started taking imperfect action. For a long time, I'd say, I'm just a perfectionist, as if it was a noble trait, as if my stagnation came from too much care. But deep down, it was just fear in disguise. Fear of being judged, of messing up publicly, of not pleasing everyone. Until one day I saw it clearly. Perfectionism was the classiest excuse for staying stuck. So I decided to change my internal rule. I launched my first product with a simple video. I posted content even when I thought it could be better. I sold before everything was perfectly in place. What happened? I gained momentum. I got feedback. I built confidence. And I understood. The market doesn't reward those who wait for the best. It rewards those who deliver enough, consistently. Now, I still care about quality, but I do it with ease. Because those who wait to be ready enough never start. And those who start get ready along the way. Are you stuck trying to make it perfect? Or have you realized that imperfect action is what unlocks your flow? Comment. I act with courage, not perfection, if this point gave you permission to begin. 6. I turned my environment into reinforcement, not sabotage. Back then, my environment screamed against my growth. Notifications on 24/7, cluttered workspace, people talking about everything except what I wanted to build, and my phone always nearby, the perfect escape from any discomfort. Truth is, I was trying to be productive in a setup built to distract me. And of course, it felt like laziness, like lack of focus, like lack of strength, but it was just the environment. Here's what I did. Kept my phone out of reach while working. Organized a clean workspace, even if small. Muted those who didn't contribute. Surrounded myself with content, quotes, and reminders that reflected who I wanted to become. These changes changed my mindset. Because what surrounds you shapes what you think, feel, and do. Always. Today, my environment works with me, not against me. Are you trying to grow in a setup that drains you? Or have you realized your environment also needs to be under construction? Comment. My environment empowers me. If this habit could change your upcoming week. 7. I stopped punishing myself for failing and started observing myself like a leader would. Before, every time I failed, I'd mentally beat myself up, judge myself, switch into self-sabotage disguised as pressure mode, as if being hard on myself would make me better. But it always did the opposite. More guilt, more blocks, more paralysis. Until one day I thought, if I were my own leader, would I talk to myself like this? Of course not. That's when I shifted the approach. I started reviewing failures as data, not drama. I asked myself, what here can become an adjustment? I created correction plans, not emotional punishments. This habit transformed my productivity and my self-esteem, because I stopped living in a war with myself and started acting as an ally in my own growth. Now I fail and move on, learn and restart. Because growth doesn't require perfection. It requires presence, honesty, and inner leadership. Are you judging yourself or guiding yourself? Comment. I lead myself with firmness and compassion, if this gave you a new way to handle your own ups and downs. 8. I accepted that not feeling like it isn't an excuse. It's just part of the process. One day I woke up with zero energy, zero motivation, zero drive. The plan was to write, record, sell, but I just wanted to disappear. Then came the sabotaging thought, if you're not in the mood, it's better not to do it at all. But I already knew where that thought led, straight to stagnation. And that day, I chose to respond differently. I'm not in the mood, but I'll do it anyway. I sat down and wrote, recorded with what I had, pushed to maintain the bare minimum. And the most amazing thing? It worked. A compliment. A sale. A piece of content that paid off. That's when I understood. Motivation is unstable, but decision can be steady. It's not about ignoring what you feel. It's about not letting it run the show. The ambitious woman I'm building knows how to act even when the process doesn't feel exciting. Today I keep going, even when I don't feel like it, because I learned that consistency creates results, and results fuel motivation. Are you waiting for the will to return? Or have you already decided to keep going even when it's gone? Comment. My decision matters more than my mood, if this gave you strength to push through the ups and downs. 9. I swapped guilt for responsibility, and that gave me back control. For a long time, I felt guilty for everything I didn't do. Guilty for not being productive, for procrastinating, for missing goals, for not being like others. The guilt was constant, silent, and draining. But then came a moment of clarity. Guilt keeps me small. Responsibility gives me power. That shift changed the game. When I stopped blaming myself and started owning my choices, everything changed. Because responsibility isn't about self-judgment. It's about action. I owned that if I didn't do it, it was a choice. That if I procrastinated, I allowed it. And that if I want change, I'm the one who has to build the new system. That pulled me out of victim of my own mind mode and into leader of my own routine mode. Today, every result is mine, good or bad. And that's freeing. Are you carrying guilt or truly taking back the reins? Comment, I trade guilt for responsibility, if this reminded you that the control is, and always was, yours. 10. I realized discipline is a gift, not a prison. This might have been the deepest shift of all, because for so long I saw discipline as a cage, something that limited my freedom, my creativity, my joy, until I experienced the opposite. The lack of discipline gave me exactly what I feared most, the loss of freedom. Because without discipline, I was constantly putting out fires. My ideas died on paper. My day was run by whatever popped up, not what mattered. When discipline came in, freedom followed. I finally had real time to rest. I took control of my money. I created with space, not guilt. Today, my discipline is the foundation of the calm, wealthy, and grounded woman I'm becoming. It doesn't cage me. It empowers me. It doesn't limit me. It sustains me. And if you feel like you're ambitious but always stuck, maybe this is it. Realizing that discipline is the only path to the life you truly want. Are you still resisting routine? Or have you already seen it's your greatest ally? Comment. Discipline is the gift I give to my freedom. If this made you see it all from a new angle. After all of this, it's clear. It wasn't laziness. It was inner chaos, a lack of direction, and fear hiding behind clever excuses. But none of that defines me. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Ambition without action hurts. But ambition with clarity transforms. Each of these shifts was a decision. Small, quiet, internal. And together, they built who I am today. A woman who still feels fear, fatigue, and doubt, but no longer lets any of that define her. Now comment. I'm ambitious and disciplined. If you're also choosing to stop dreaming and start doing. And of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with that friend who also needs to remember that just wanting isn't enough, but it's the perfect start to do things differently. Because if you're ambitious, the fire's already there. Now all that's missing is the rhythm, and that starts now.